G'day, Angie Mahari here. Are you still wondering who the person that you were with BPD really is or was? Are you still confused as to why they weren't who you thought they were? Now that you know, if you do know, most people do know, but there could be people new to the videos, to the channel. So if you do know now that they aren't who you thought they were, please share in the comments below. What does that mean to you? How did you discover that? And why do you think that you didn't know that to begin with? I'm not saying it's your responsibility or that you should have known or anything like that. But this devastation, which it is devastation for people, when they're in a relationship with somebody with BPD and they don't, or have gotten into one, might be over now, but it's for a lot of people it's never really over because it requires such, not elongated, but an in-depth recovery process from the relationship breakup and codependency. So I'm out here to work with you if I resonate with you. Whether you want them back, whether you don't know what's going on, whether you're just lost and confused, maybe you still want them back, it doesn't matter. I work with people wherever you're at. So are you still really caught up in, well, if they're not the person, or since they're not the person that I thought they were, what does that mean and who are they? And why did a lot of people with codependency still wondering, that they have to be that person. Like, how could I have fallen for somebody that essentially isn't real? Is that borderline that who you thought they were when, you first got, into knowing them and quickly into a relationship with all that intensity and all that, idealization and mirroring and the borderline codependent people pleasing of you, because you were told it was just the greatest thing since sliced bread, and this is awesome, and it was way too good to be true. But are you still in a place of incredible pain for all kinds of reasons, but this main reason also, that you're just not at all convinced it's over, or that it needs to be over, or that it, quote, should, unquote, be over, because after all, doesn't there have to be some of that person who I thought they were there? And if not, what does that mean? So this is something that really keeps people with codependence, along with all kinds of other things, really blocked in, maybe taking steps, an action step to get into therapy. It's just one step that leads to a process that people can explore. And I know when I work with clients, people change their mind, people get contacted, people recycle, and sometimes the work goes on and sometimes it stops until, that doesn't work out so well after a short period of time. But think about yourself in this, right? Because people with codependency, people who've been hurt by somebody with BPD, or, really, really hurt, worse, are very much focused on the globalizing reality of, well, all people with BPD are the same. Or, like in live streams I've done, and by the way, probably not doing any more on this channel. I haven't made up my mind yet, but unlikely. Might set up a membership just for live streams, but other than that, don't know. So people in live streams have said, like, they'll share, well, my borderline does that too. Or somebody will say something about what they went through with a person with BPD, and then 3 or 4 other people will chime in, and for most of that live stream, they're all sharing their war stories, basically. So if you're still sharing, people have to talk about this. But when does it become very unhelpful, if not more injurious to you, to continue to share over and over your war story, your battle story, what you went through with this person with BPD, versus getting into therapy to not only share that, but to work through that, to be seen and to be heard? Because people with codependency is still in this place of like, but there must be a part of that person that like could be who I really want them to be again, and so this leads people with codependency to recycle, to not be finished with the relationship, to not be able to stop ruminating, to having the cognitive dissonance and the emotional dissonance. And what does it all mean? Because what do you mean that person wasn't who I thought they were? Because a lot of people with codependency are still in denial that the person you thought they were isn't who they are. And what does that really mean? And let me just say, it's not a person with BPD untreated, it's not a person with BPD setting you up consciously. It's not like they think they're all that something. Like, who you're perceiving them to be they're not trying to advertise that's who they are, because they don't know who they are. So on this very painful and recovery blocking aspect, then comes the question for people with codependency, well, who did I love then? And then people with codependency still saying, but I still love him, I still love her, I miss him and I miss her. Think about, what does that actually mean when that person didn't really exist and you still love them? They treated you horribly, they betrayed you, they abandoned you, they might have cheated on you, ghost, all this stuff, but you still love them. And more to the point, who are you loving because they're not who you thought they were? Does people with codependency really have to think about this some more? And I'm out here to work with you if I resonate with you, because it really does require therapy to process all this. And what is the number one reason why therapy is so important? And 12-step groups, unless you're an alcoholic or a drug addict, forget it. Because you need more skilled help than that. And yes, many clinicians understand codependency and these relationships and what's going on. I'm certainly one out here who gets it. So one of the most important things about getting into therapy is that you get heard and you get seen, and you will experience, if you work with me, I can't speak for others, you will experience validation, and you will experience a lot of compassion and no judgment. It's a safe place to really finally be seen and heard with all you're talking about. So please know, when I do a video, if I'm trying to be a little motivational, if I'm asking questions, whatever I'm sharing in information, there's no judgment attached to that. People are all over the map with this. But I will say this too. If you're globalizing your experience online, whether in live streams, whether in like anywhere on YouTube, or those websites you can write on, think about the fact that that's keeping you in the agony that you're in. It supports that. You're not really being seen and heard. Because when people comment back and forth to each other, sometimes there's real support there. But a lot of times, people are needing to share what they need to share about their experience. Then a lot of people who are BPDXs will globalize and then go, yeah, like they're all the same. Wow, man, I went through what you went through, and I went through, and then how does that help you? Would be my question. And interesting that somebody commented recently in a live stream that I did that I decided to not leave up for many different reasons. A lot of good information in there, and just the way it went. Just I'm not really into live streaming. If people want to join a membership to live stream, then perhaps people will be there with the best possible intent for themselves. That doesn't mean I have any rules about what people say or not. But yeah, somebody just a lot of globalizing, and somebody said that they got actually triggered by this, a lot of the similarities that people were talking about, BPDXs were talking about, with their own individual person with BPD. So who is that person that you really loved? What happened to them? How can you love the person when you know that they're not who you thought they were? And what does that mean? And where are you at with all of that? And if you'd like to share comments, that would be great. You know, if you got any questions or you just want to share your experience, or you would like to, you know, share your experience, and hopefully others will share theirs with yours, and hopefully not in a just globalizing, yeah, like, man, that happened to me too. Because how does that help you? And if it does help you, I'm interested to hear how. So, people with codependency, BPD relationship breakup, or it's off right now and you don't know what's going to happen, you still love that person that you thought they were. So who are you loving? And who are you now abandoning yourself for? And who are you still putting ahead of yourself and taking some modicum still of more responsibility for, and what you might want to happen again, even though you know that hurts like get out. Why are you still avoiding yourself? Why are you still coming second to this? But more to the point, the focus here is, who was that person with BPD that you fell in love with, that you loved, and that you may still want back? Who is it that you're loving? How do you explain that? Do you think about that? What does that mean for you? And I'd love to hear your feedback. Take care.